Hello and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely buzzing to take you through today's topic. Right, let's get stuck in, shall we? We're taking a proper deep dive into the hidden organizational drivers of expatriate turnover. We'll be anchoring our journey on a really rigorous 2017 study by researchers Pinto, Cardoso, and Werfer Jr. It's titled Expatriates' Withdrawal Intentions, the Influence of Organizational Culture and Satisfaction with the Assignment. Honestly, if you've ever wondered what really makes international assignments succeed or fail behind the scenes, well, you are in exactly the right place.
So why do expatriates quit? It's a million-dollar question, quite literally. Companies spend an absolute fortune and risk immense strategic capital sending their top talent on international assignments. And yet, a staggering number of these assignments just flat out fail, with highly qualified professionals packing their bags and heading home early. Now, we normally blame culture shock or the clash of national cultures, don't we? But is that really the whole story? Or is there a massive missing piece of the puzzle hiding right there inside the office walls?
To crack this, here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick off with the introduction and purpose, move smoothly into the theoretical background, map out the hypotheses, look at the research method, unveil the study results, and finally wrap things up with the discussion and implications.
Right then, Section 1, Introduction and Purpose. Uncovering the hidden drivers of turnover.
You see, the researchers spotted a massive blind spot in how we look at global mobility. They wanted to look past just the national culture of the destination country. Instead, they asked a brilliant question: how do these specific day-to-day workplace cultures of both the home organization and the host organization actually impact an expat's urge to just throw in the towel? Because, let's be honest, quitting doesn't just happen overnight. Nobody wakes up on a random Tuesday and hands in their notice on a whim. It all starts with what academics call withdrawal cognitions. This is essentially a perception and a plan to voluntarily change one's circumstances. It's that lingering, nagging thought of, I really need to get out of here. Crucially, in the international game, this can mean two very different things: intending to leave the specific assignment and return home, or intending to leave the company entirely. If companies can figure out what triggers these early thoughts, they can actually step in and stop voluntary turnover before it even happens.
Moving on to Section 2, Theoretical Background, the lenses of organizational culture. To really understand what sparks these withdrawal thoughts, the researchers zeroed in on something very tangible: the observable behaviors of coworkers. This makes sense, right? Because expats often find it incredibly hard to separate a foreign company's culture from the host nation's overall culture. They used Goffey and Zones's renowned framework, which looks at two main dimensions of organizational culture: sociability and solidarity. Sociability is all about friendliness, informality, loyalty, and sharing social values. Think of it as the office where everyone heads to the pub together after work. Solidarity, on the flip side, is about relatedness, driven by mutual interests and shared business goals. It's the office with a relentless collective energy focused purely on winning and hitting targets. Now just think about it for a second. Which of these environments do you reckon is actually better at keeping an expat anchored during a high-stakes international assignment? The friendly social office or the goal-driven competitive one?
Let's look at Section 3, the hypotheses, mapping the academic predictions.
Based on that framework, the researchers laid out their educated guesses. They figured that the behaviors shown by colleagues act like a crucial compass for an expat trying to navigate a tricky new environment. The proposed framework visually maps out these predictions perfectly. On one side, we have the home and host organizational cultures split into sociability and solidarity. The team hypothesized that high levels of these traits back in the home office would decrease a person's intention to leave the organization entirely. Similarly, they predicted that high sociability and solidarity in the host office would decrease the urge to abandon the assignment. On top of that, they predicted that these cultural dimensions would give a massive boost to general assignment satisfaction, which sits right in the middle of the framework. And that satisfaction would ultimately act as a buffer against both types of withdrawal.
Okay, Section 4, Research Method, Investigating the Data.
To put these hypotheses to the test, the researchers didn't just sit around theorizing. They got stuck into some rigorous scientific work to give the study real credibility. They gathered data through a web survey from a really robust sample size of 166 international corporate expatriates. And we're not talking about backpackers here. These were highly qualified professionals, mostly holding managerial roles, with an average tenure of nearly 10 years at their companies. They were surveyed across 8 different multinational companies, which gives us a truly fantastic, varied data set to dig into.
And just take a look at the diverse global origins of these expats. We've got a quarter from the USA,
14% from India, 10% from the UK, 6% from Germany, and a massive 45% from other nations entirely. They were stationed all over the shop too, places like China, the US, and Switzerland. This is brilliant because it proves that the findings we are about to unpack aren't just some random quirk of one specific culture clash. No, these are universal insights into global mobility.
Right, here we go. Section 5, the study results, the big reveal.
This is the moment we've been building up to. Let's finally see what actually stops expats from packing their bags. The data overwhelmingly showed that high solidarity in the host country is the absolute key. When an expat steps into a foreign office that is highly focused on shared business goals and performance, it massively boosts their general satisfaction with the assignment. But more importantly, it absolutely slashes their urge to leave the assignment early. Shared goals create this unified environment that essentially keeps the expat anchored to the mission.
But here is the real narrative climax, and honestly, it is a genuine surprise. Sociability, the degree of friendliness, informal chatting, and socializing at work did absolutely nothing to improve expat satisfaction. Nothing at all. It completely failed to prevent them from withdrawing. Being friendly at work was utterly innocuous in the data. The researchers actually suggest that while solidarity reduces stress by creating a clear, performance-oriented environment, high sociability might, ironically, increase stress. It can create this confusing web of social networking or tricky office politics that an outsider just struggles to navigate. So it turns out, friendliness simply does not equal retention. Who would have thought?
This brilliantly highlights the dual power of solidarity. When there is high solidarity in the home company, when the headquarters is intensely driven by shared goals, it reduces the expat's intent to leave the organization entirely. It keeps them fiercely loyal to the global brand. Conversely, high solidarity in the host company, the local office they've actually been sent to, reduces their intent to leave the specific assignment. So shared goals are essentially working on two distinct fronts to protect the company's investment.
Let's break down how this builds into a practical chain of events. The researchers found a crucial mediating role at play here. Step 1. You ensure high host solidarity. Step 2. This directly leads to increased assignment satisfaction. Step 3. This deep satisfaction acts as the ultimate shield, resulting in reduced withdrawal intentions. Satisfaction is the mediator here. An expat might be dealing with massive culture shock outside the office, but if they are truly satisfied by the shared goals inside the office, they are going to stay.
Finally, Section 6, Discussion and Practical Implications, Actionable Solutions for HR. Let's pivot from the academic theory to the real world for a minute. How can multinational executives and HR managers actually apply this tomorrow to save millions in failed assignment costs? I want to read a powerful quote directly from the paper's conclusions, because the academic weight really underscores the practical advice here. Quote, "A collective sense of direction nourishes the conviction that the assignment goals are shared and achievable." End quote. It is exactly this conviction that strengthens satisfaction and keeps an expat locked in on the job.
So, here's your checklist of actionable, goal-oriented behaviors. First off, define collective goals crystal clearly from day one. Second, actively communicate shared interests between the expat and the local team. Third, and this is perhaps the most important one based on that surprising result we just saw, prioritize performance orientation over mere social events. Please, don't just throw welcome parties. Give your expats a clear shared mission. And finally, ensure that both the home headquarters and the host office align completely on these business objectives.
I want to leave you with a provocative question today, one that really forces us to evaluate our own global mobility programs, or even our own personal career moves. Ask yourself right now, what are the expected business goals for your next international assignment? And most importantly, are they truly shared by everyone involved? Because if the answer is no, you might just be setting the stage for an early departure. That brings us to the end of our explainer. More information can be found in the paper. Pinto L.H., Cardoso C.C., and Girio W.B.B.W., 2017. Expats' Withdrawal Intentions, The Influence of Organizational Culture and Satisfaction with the Assignment, Personnel Review, 46-8, 1852 to 1869, www.doi.org, 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 T1011-01108. That brings us to the end of our explainer.